Hi, my name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess, and this is STD Our Stories, episode 7 with Mackenzie.
Herpes could never. Herpes could never break me, could never again make me feel less of. Herpes can't take my sexy away from me. Herpes does not take my worth away. Herpes does not devalue me. Herpes can never.
Hi, my name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess, and yes, having me is a big flex. I am the founder of Herpes Can Never Grow, and the largest herpes awareness platform of over 288K, because I inspire people to love themselves more. The mission at Herpes Can Never is to be at war with the herpes stigma until the herpes community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. Welcome to Our Stories, Life with an STD. This is episode 7 with the beautiful Mackenzie. Please introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Jane. I have a TikTok following of almost 5,000. I have a herpes awareness and herpes tip video thing on my page. Every week I share a herpes tip or a herpes awareness video. I shared my story on TikTok as well to raise awareness to young girls and women out there.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for showing up for the community. The more of us that show up, the more that we're able to break the stigma for everyone. I really want to see it in my lifetime so that my grandkids, great-grandkids, and even my son, if they were to find out that they had herpes, because it's as common as the common cold, that they don't have to go through the same shame as the rest of us have. And our number one way of doing that and breaking the stigma is changing the narrative around it, changing that sad, depressing narrative and replacing it with something new. It may seem foreign now, but it won't seem foreign later. So I just want to thank you for that. So how old were you when you found out you had herpes? What type of herpes do you have and where?
I found out when I found out I had herpes, I was 20 years old.
Okay.
I am 23, almost 23 now.
Okay.
I have HSV1 and I have it on my genitalia.
Okay. All right. And I see you have a baby. So I'm gonna wait to ask you questions about that and your experience with pregnancy and having herpes. When I found out I had herpes, I found out I was pregnant at the same time. So I'm a little bit experienced too with the having babies and having herpes as well. But when you found out you had herpes, how did you feel? How did you find out? Where were you? Bring us back.
So how I found out is I thought I was having ingrown hairs. And so for like about a month, I was plucking the hairs out of the sores. And then I was like, this ain't going away. So I got to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor and her bedside manner was just horrible. She's like, I think you have herpes. This is what it looks like. And she felt very certain before she even took a test. She went ahead, did the test and everything. And she's like, this is what it looks like. And I was sitting there bawling my eyes out. She wasn't comforting me or nothing. So I'm sitting here thinking that my very first boyfriend, he's cheating on me. We were running a family and he's sitting here cheating on me. So I was really depressed. He was even really depressed because he's like, I'm not cheating on you. Like, I promise I'm not. Well, then later on, we found out that, he decided to come clean with me, that he used to get cold sores, but he hadn't had a cold sore since he was 17. So he didn't think he could give anything to me. And when I went and saw my actual doctor, she went and said, she's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You have type 1. She's like, it could have lied dormant in his body after 17. And then your immune system was down. His immune system was down. He was still shedding the virus. And then bada bing, bada boom. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, funny thing, she also said, would you like to get tested for anything else? And I was like, yes, please. And then I popped positive for chlamydia.
Okay, so then that part was like, yeah.
And what happened there is I had that for almost a year, like 7 months without knowing. My boyfriend had it longer without knowing. His ex had been cheating on him, and he didn't know she contracted anything. And he never got STD tested, like, ever in his life. So yeah, I was like, that's fun.
It's funny because some people wait till they're experiencing symptoms to get tested. And I try to stress to not even just our community, but all communities across the board that even STDs, chlamydia, and gonorrhea can show up with no symptoms as well. And those are the dangerous STDs. Those are the STDs that can permanently hurt us and hurt our reproductive system. So it's a blessing within itself that, you know, you're sitting there with your baby right now. So sorry, one, that you had to go through that, but it clears up a lot, especially for anyone watching, that herpes does not mean that your partner is cheating. Right. Herpes is the creeping virus. It can lie dormant in your body for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years before you even show any symptoms of herpes. And doctors are not going to test for it unless you're showing symptoms. So it's not necessarily mean that your partner is cheating on you. Just get educated, learn more about herpes and how the virus works. So I'm so glad that you shared that with us.
And that's exactly what my doctor told me. Yeah. She's like, there have been married couples that were married for like 70 years and they pop positive for herpes.
Yeah. That's what was happening with the COVID vaccine. Everyone's like, the COVID vaccine is giving us herpes. No, it's not giving you herpes. It's putting the virus in your body. So now your immune system is fighting the vaccine off and it can't fight for your virus anymore. So you're having an outbreak. You're finally showing symptoms of this sleeping herpes virus that's been lying dormant in your body for so long. It's not the vaccine giving you herpes. Unfortunately, you've been had herpes. You're just finding out now.
Right.
I recently shared my story on TikTok, and a lot of people were like, your child's father gave you herpes. He gave you herpes. And I'm like, that's not necessarily true. Yes, I found out when I was in a relationship with him, but truth of the matter is, one, I didn't know wasn't included in your average STI panel. Two, I never said, hey, doc, explain my test results to me. I was always okay with my doctor telling me that I was good. My doctor telling me I was good meant I was good across the board for everything, I assume. And then three, again, it's the sleeping virus. I could have had herpes way before I got into a relationship with him. So it's not right for me to blame him.
Right.
Oh, what's the matter?
What's the matter, pumpkin butt? She's just cranky. It's getting closer to nap time.
So, what got you over? Actually, before we go into that, how did you feel the herpes stigma? You know, what was the herpes stigma in your life?
I felt disgusting. Like, I felt so gross. Because, like, so before my boyfriend and I started dating, I was a virgin. So, like, here I am. I only have one body. People are going to sit here and think I was lying. I have a body count of, like, you know. Yeah. And I was like, if my boyfriend and I break up, no one's ever going to want me. Like, that's what literally my entire thought process. I was so depressed after I found out. It's not even funny. It took a lot of research and a lot of, like, looking at other people in the herpes community to, like, feel comfortable in my skin again.
So, I mean, what was your process? Can you take me through the process of, to the point where you felt disgusting, you felt like no one would ever want you to? I'm on TikTok and I'm making a herpes TikTok video. How do we get from that point to this point?
So, I found out I had herpes in, like, July after I was 20 years old. So like July of, sorry, this is going to take some thinking. July of like 2019. Found out I had herpes. I was depressed for like a good 3 months. And then I did a lot of research. Like I'm talking, I was Googling, I was looking up like herpes statistics. I was looking up how common it is. And once I figured out how common it was, I was comfortable, but not comfortable enough to like publicly say it.
Yeah.
And then I get on TikTok earlier this year, like I want to say January is when I first started TikTok. I started seeing your videos, and I started following you. And then I started seeing Scott Lena's videos, started following her. And I felt 10 times more comfortable to share my story. So I was like, you know what? I feel like a lot more women need to have this information. A lot more people in the herpes community need to have this information. Because like I didn't know, my boyfriend didn't know. And I was like, if we didn't know, there's gotta be like millions of other people who don't know.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? You gotta choke down your insecurity and make your videos, tell your story. And so I did.
How do you feel after?
I feel great. I mean, there were a couple trolls saying that my boyfriend was lying, that he was born with it. But I was like, even though it's rare, it happens. Mm-hmm. And his mom has it. So he very well could have been born with it. But I feel 10 times more empowered.
Yeah. Now, neonatal herpes is fatal. Mm-hmm. So I can say that I might feel like he wasn't born with it, but since his mother has herpes, it could have been as a child, a kiss,
Right.
It's that easy to have it as a child.
Right.
How with babies, when they're born, their immune systems are not built up enough to handle the herpes virus.
Right.
So when babies are born with herpes, unfortunately, they die.
Right. So, and what I meant by born with it is like born in his blood. Like he already had the virus dormant in his system is what I was meaning by that.
Okay. But what else did I want to say? When I decided to be public about my herpes, it was liberating in a way. It was that barrier, that last barrier I had to go through to break the stigma in my life. Because even though you do have the trolls, the positivity you get outweighs all the negative that you get. And you realize that the trolls are just trolling because they're uneducated.
Exactly.
And they're miserable. It's sad. When people are uneducated and miserable, it's just a bad combination.
Exactly.
I need to be someone who was uneducated and miserable as well. And I always like to talk about how when we find out we have herpes, the only two people that know that you have herpes is yourself and the person telling you, and yet you still feel the weight of the stigma. Why? Because we're one of those people that we fear. Mm-hmm. We're one of those people that know nothing about herpes, and now we're putting all of our assumptions and we're putting it on ourselves. And when we try to walk out the building, humans love to be right. We're intentionally, subconsciously looking for everything that's going to prove us right. And then the stigma becomes our reality. And we live in it and we sit with it until we decide to feel something different, until we choose to feel something different. So I always ended off with telling my clients that the stigma is a choice. Mm-hmm. A triggering comment, but the stigma is a choice, and the stigma is a person seeking validation from others. I'm worried about how other people are going to feel about me. I'm worried about how other people are going to think about me. My life is ruined. It's never really your herpes. It's all the stuff we haven't dealt with before our herpes. And then herpes brings it to the surface and forces us to deal with our own stuff, our own insecurities that are already there. So good for you for being so young and breaking the stigma in your life so early, because I found out in 2015, and I didn't start talking about herpes until 2020. So there we have it. Before we end our little episode, I do want to ask you about your process. Pregnancy. You got pregnant.
Okay.
You're breastfeeding. You're doing all these things that women think that they can't do anymore when they found out they have herpes. Tell me all about it in your journey.
Okay. So when I first found out I was pregnant, my doctors, my OBGYN and everything, they were not worried about my herpes at all in the beginning because I hadn't had an outbreak yet. And then when I was ending my first trimester, I had 2 small minor outbreaks. And they're like, okay, we want you on medication all day, 24/7. So I just took 1 pill. I took vancyclovir once a day throughout my entire pregnancy. I had a normal vaginal delivery. After I was taking my medication every day during my pregnancy, I wasn't having any more outbreaks. It's just the way the herpes reacted to the pregnancy in my body is they were causing me to have more outbreaks. So but yeah, I had a normal vaginal delivery. My nurses said if I were to get herpes on my breast, then I should just put a Band-Aid over top of it so I don't transfer it to my child. But other than that, it was a normal pregnancy, a normal birth, a normal everything.
Yeah. Same. Same. And that was something that worried me, especially how I found out at the same time. So not only do I have all this miseducation about herpes, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to give my baby herpes. And then I'm looking online, your baby's going to die. I'm like, oh no, my baby's going to die. What do I do? I was legit freaking out. Before we end off, what would you like to tell somebody who is just finding out that they have herpes, or someone who has had herpes for years and they just can't seem to break the stigma for themselves in their life? What advice would you give them?
Everything is okay. Like, you are not your diagnosis at all. Your diagnosis does not define you. And love yourself more. And herpes is more common than what you think. It's not that big of a deal.
I love that. Well, thank you, Mackenzie, for sharing your story with us. Thank you for anyone listening in. If you want to see Mackenzie and her social media platforms, I will put all her handles in the description box below. Your support is needed. It is free. Like, subscribe, share. We love you. And just remember that herpes could never.
Never.